So we have to ask ourselves, how do we get there? So if we're looking at that multi-tiered, multi-domain system of support, as Trish had just mentioned, what does that curriculum look like? And what does that look like K-12? So I'm going to take you back to some thoughts in developmental stages, and maybe you're familiar with Erikson. Maybe this is the first time you've heard of this concept, but Erikson talks about the developmental stages and what happens at each stage of each age, and what characteristics do students develop in those stages. And so we have to ask ourselves, as we think about career development and what our students need, where are they along that developmental structure, so that we can make sure that we're aligning to where they are as students in our buildings. So with that thought in mind, when we think about our kindergarten through fifth graders, those developmental traits, they're very creative. They use their imagination to express themselves. And so we want to capitalize on that in regards to career exploration. They also at that time, at that young of an age, are starting to recognize things like gender and culture. And those things are starting to influence how they make decisions. So if they do not see professionals that look like them, that come from the same place in which they come, they may not see themselves in those professions and will automatically disqualify themselves. So if they don't have parents or any other family members who have gone on to college or post-secondary, they may not see themselves in that world unless they're talked about early about that opportunity that they also have. So thinking about what does career development look like? Are there guest speakers that you can bring in that vary across race, gender, background, and social class? And are the students' strengths and interests, where they're really creative and imaginative, is that aligning to career pathways in which you're sharing? So some opportunities at such a young age to really have some intentional conversations about where they are. And there's a hyperlink here that has elementary level conversations you can have with those young students to get them thinking along those ways. And then as you transition into sixth and eighth grade, again, we're talking now more about a designated path and making some decisions and start coming up with what that plan could look like. So again, developmentally, Erikson would say that they're at a stage where they're constantly seeking approval, that they're trying to find who they are, like what that unique identity looks like, and how that plays into the grand scheme of everybody else. And they get a little curious about their futures, but they're not ready for serious planning yet. So again, to capitalize on those developmental traits, we have to think about what strengths and assets do they have that's in relation to future career goals, and really telling them, this is what you're really good at. This is what I see where your passion is. And these are some careers that will align to that. So demonstrating that awareness and raising just more information as to what education and training they may need. And as we had mentioned yesterday in our keynote, the more intentional those conversations are at these primary ages of K through 8, then the more success that students will find as they transition into high school, that 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So what does that look like developmentally? When we think about 9th and 10th graders, we're looking at academic readiness and what skill sets do they have that may align to future careers. And developmentally, there's still needs for approval, but they're trying to find that independence, right? And they want us to have that desire to stand out, but they also want to fit in. So we have to think, who can we connect these students to? They're craving connection. They're craving an identity. They're craving people who look like them, that they can serve as mentors. So in regards to career readiness activities, can you find role models and mentors that look like these students that can support them and make them feel as if they could also be in that career later on in life? And empower those students to think about, what strengths do I have and how do these strengths build on who I'm going to be in the future? And then last but not least, the last couple of years before entering post-secondary or the future careers that they're obtaining, or they're ready to achieve. And there's a little bit of fear there. So developmentally, these 16, 17, 8-year-old students are having some fears about leaving people behind, leaving peers behind. When I make these final decisions in life, what does that mean for my family? What does that mean for my friends? And they have this sense of urgency to make those decisions, while at the same time feeling a sense of worry and concern about what that could look like. So again, we have to have some intentional conversations about real feelings and having an understanding where they're coming from, but then also exposing them, gradually exposing them to these fields so they can be more comfortable. So as we talked about work-based learning earlier, getting them acclimated to that world so they begin to feel more comfortable and confident in the decisions that they're making. And I love this one about thinking about family and student values comparison. What is my family value in regards to what it is I should be, or what I should thrive to be? What do I value as a student? And where do those compare, and where do they differ? Because those are real conversations that need to happen so that we can make sure that everybody's in alignment and in support, and the student feels valued and they feel comfortable with the decisions that they're making around college and career. Again, more hyperlinks down here for later on and reference in regards to having some of those conversations.
You know, Terri, when I was there, it was such a joy to visit with the students. And I recall the celebration that we had here at this school, but also I'll never forget the conversations I had with the students who were ready to go off to university. And, you know, what you just talked about developmentally was so much a part of their fears and their excitement, how much they wanted to please their family, how much they knew that their family values matter. But for some, it really was an emotional tug of war, because I had one girl come up to me afterwards and says, I scored so well. I know now I need to be a doctor, but I really wish I could be a teacher. And she didn't feel safe or comfortable sharing that with others. And that was disappointing for me to hear, because what a marvelous teacher she could be, and how many doctors she might teach someday as a teacher, following her light, following her goal. You know, you can see me here having so much fun with these students. And as I think about them, I wonder where they are now. I am hoping, and I think about the what if for them. What if every one of the students were able to have career exploration, self-awareness? Next slide, Terri. And be able to have the choices. What if every student was able to have less stress and have more options? What if every student could really focus on their attitude, knowledge, skills, beliefs, interests, and really pick from a diverse pool of opportunities? What if every student could think about the power of purpose and their why, so that each and every single student had the opportunity to live out their dreams and to make a difference in this world in the way they choose? You know, one of the most impactful visits we had was to this orphanage. And I remember thinking about these children, and today now I wonder, how are they? Where are they? What career development might they some? These are definitely students who we want to wrap our arms around and give every option for the future to. How can we guarantee that each and every student, even these students here who are so challenged, can reach their desired future? What can we do to put a system in place to support every student's future and every student's potential? We look forward to talking to you more about this. We thank you so much to Kevin and to Maggie and to Mercy and to everyone here at this conference. We appreciate you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak. Thank you to Terri for her brilliance in this keynote, and enjoy the rest of your National Conference on Career Guidance.
Thank you, everyone.